Hi, I'm Pattu from FreeFinCal. A few days back, I had asked viewers to post their questions, and I got quite a few questions. I've tried to answer some of them, and I've also made an articles on a couple of them. There's one interesting question asked by Chaitu. He basically asks how to manage a single portfolio for different goals put together. I have written about it. I have a calculator for it. I have written about the pros and cons for it, etc., etc. But I just want to tell you the gist of what I have spoken about before. See, when you calculate using a single portfolio for all your goals, like you're saying, I'm going to have 50% equity, 50% fixed income for, let's say, my two children's education and their marriage and then my retirement and everything bundled in together. It sounds easier to maintain, but there are some difficulties with it going forward, and that difficulties are essentially with respect to the sequence of returns. That is, if you get a few years of poor returns, then things can get very difficult to handle, especially because when you are buying 100 units of a mutual fund, then you are seeing the value of it. It's hard for you to, even for a single goal, single mutual fund purchase, it's hard for you to, find out the principal and then the gain and so on. Of course, for a single purchase, yes, it's obvious you can find it. But if you're doing SIP, it becomes a lot more difficult. Obviously, you'll have to invest more than that. My point is that tracking the progress of your portfolio becomes a little difficult when you're using a single portfolio for all goals. That is, tracking the progress of your goals. It becomes difficult because all the money is just put in together. For example, it's like saying, I have a huge bucket like this, and I'm going to fill water in this bucket, which is basically me investing every month. And at some time in the future, I will need this bucket full of water, so I will take this small bucket and dip water from here. Then I will need this to be filled. I will take that and fill that with water, this and so on. That's basically the idea of a unified portfolio. If the growth of the portfolio goes as planned on Excel, then everything is fine. Or if it's much better than that also, it's fine. But let's say there's a crash, and there's a crash 5 years or 6 years before you need the money. And then what will happen is that if you are having a single portfolio and if the markets have not recovered, then it may so happen that you may need to dip into the portfolio, and you may dip into the corpus of another goal if you have a single portfolio. That is, you will overdraw. It's very hard for me to illustrate this. I can do it, but that's something that you can easily imagine, right? For example, if you have a need in 2022, and if the markets crashed in 2018 or something like that, 2020 and 2025, something like that, you can always imagine, you would end up overdrawing. And the point is that you should later on make up for it with additional investments. That may or may not be possible. So this is the biggest problem as far as my thinking goes. And the other danger is that I cannot have a single portfolio for a 5-year goal and a 20-year goal. The risk associated with a 5-year goal is very, very different from the risk associated with a 20-year goal. And I'm saying this because many financial planners do this. They combine long-term and short-term goals into a single portfolio, which is just madness. So you have to be very careful, and it is a misconception to think that I will just have one asset allocation, just a couple of investments, so it will be easier to maintain. No, having a single portfolio and different goals is harder to maintain than having different portfolios individually for each goal. That is, one portfolio for my retirement, one portfolio for my son's education, marriage, etc., and so on. That's easier to manage because the bucketing is very clear. How much I need to invest for each goals is also upfront clear to me, and The biggest advantage with individual goals is that I will plan for this goal independent of the others, and right from day one, the investment amount will be the target will be high. Whether I'm able to invest that much or not is difficult to say, but the calculation itself from day one will be exclusive and also high. Whereas suppose if things don't work out as planned in a unified portfolio, to begin with, the investment amount will be lower compared to the sum of the investment amount for this goal plus that goal. Now that's good to start with, but later on, if I have to course correct and I'm not able to invest, I would have lost time and I can't make up for it. So I would prefer having different goals. That's actually less management. I mean, it's a very wrong idea that having one portfolio is the simpler option. If you want the same portfolio for all the goals, then every year you must very clearly partition the corpus. So you are having 3 goals. Let's say, okay, I am taking a review of my portfolio now. I have 50 lakhs. 30% of this is for one goal, 40% of this is for another goal, 30% of this is for other goal. What is this 30% worth? And I'm going to keep track of this. Next year, this 30%, how much has it changed? And I must track it. It's not impossible, it's certainly doable, but my only worry about a unified portfolio is the possibility of a crash even 5-6 years before my first need that can cause difficulties. You may argue that is also going to happen if I have individual portfolios. That is where the variable asset allocation comes in. I talk about this in my lectures on goal-based management Facebook group, how you must continuously vary your equity asset allocation so that you can handle any kind of sequence of returns. I cannot do that in a unified portfolio because I may end up reducing equity too drastically. So let's say I have one goal 10 years away and another goal 25 years away. There's a 15-year window between these two. And if I start worrying about reducing equity allocation for the 10-year goal, I may end up investing less for the 25-year goal. It's just, I mean, just to think about it, it hurts me. It hurts my brain to think about it. Whereas if I keep them separate, it's very, very nice and simple. Well, I will vary the asset allocation for this goal differently from this goal, differently from that goal. It's easier for me to handle. I mean, I don't know if many people would see it that way. Not that I care, but those are my thoughts. Bye-bye.